He's campaigning for a fight against CM Punk, who made his debut in the UFC at UFC 203 in Cleveland. And what's really intriguing to me about this fight is Mike's already provided the UFC the promo they need. Mike, are you there?
What's going on, guys? Mike the Truth here. First time, long time. How we doing?
Mike, thanks for being on. It's Elias. I was very excited.
I'm watching you guys right now, man. Y'all have a dope setup, man. I like this.
Thank you.
We used to have a table, but then we couldn't see each other because we were both like looking forward. So we went with the chair format. You know, it's a little bit more loungy.
I like that. See, I'm real laid back and cool, so I dig the style, guys.
Yeah. We got this title belt finally. You know, we're working on the set bit by bit, trying to get some props.
That's cool though, man. Y'all see y'all putting a lot of effort and time and money into this thing right here. I dig it, man. I like it a lot.
Well, before we had you on, we were talking about the tweet that Demetrius Johnson set out calling out Floyd Mayweather as a UFC fighter.
Did y'all see my tweet?
I did not.
Let's see. Let's pull it up.
Anything related to Floyd Mayweather and MMA will get the Derek Lewis face. Period. Like it's not like it's not. I know a lot of people want to compare it to Conor McGregor fighting Floyd in boxing. Like that's one aspect of the sport, and when you involve everything, the striking, the takedown, Floyd Mayweather has a 0% chance of beating anyone in the UFC in an MMA fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see it at all? Like any part of you?
No. I mean, I think it goes worse than the James Toney fight. To be honest with you, James. Like again, we have Randy Couture in there. We know his background, and we all knew what he was gonna do. We all knew he was gonna go for a low single, and he went for a low single. Like if you put, and again, that's Randy Couture. Like who are you gonna put Conor in there with? You put him in there with Demetrius Johnson. Do you think Demetrius Johnson is just gonna go for a low single against Conor McGregor or against Floyd Mayweather? No, he's gonna go in there to embarrass this guy. I mean that's what I would do.
For those of you, we threw up the tweet on there. It's the perfect screenshot for the Derek Lewis face. Yeah, here.
So sometimes like depending on how if I'm doing like the little retweet, like if I use the quote retweet, it won't allow me to add a picture. So for anyone if you ever see me do the little asterisk Derek Lewis face, this is the Derek Lewis face.
But isn't that precise? Well, I don't know. I was curious. I mean, so I was saying a second ago that I mean I don't particularly want to see it either for that reason. But on the other hand, I really want to see it just because it's fair play. An MMA fighter went in and boxed Floyd Mayweather for no good reason other than money. So it's hey, let's see him do a similar type of gutsy thing, and let's see him get a chance to get outclassed or embarrassed. So for that reason, I'd love to see it kind of. Not that MMA needs to be.
You're on Team MMA in this.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of bothered me that like we were having all sorts of conversations as if like 1993 never happened leading up to that fight, and people were like, "Oh, I don't know. In a real fight, who would win?" I'm like, "Come on, we've seen this. We know how this what happens here."
Well, here's the thing. So I know again going back to people who are comparing the whole we had Conor step into boxing. Again, boxing is one aspect of fighting, and Conor legit had a puncher's chance. He's not worried about. He's not going to be worried about Floyd taking him down. So again, Conor could have literally just ran across the ring and just threw a big overhand right, and depending on you zigged or zagged, he could have landed something.
Yeah,
like that's not going to happen in MMA. And so that again, I would like to see it from. I would only like to see everything up until the walkout. Once they're both in the cage, then we know what's going to happen.
You guys ever? Sorry, Mike. Go on. No, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say just to finish this in the boxing match between Conor and Floyd, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, yeah, we did. We knew Floyd was going to box his face up, yes, but again, he could have landed a shot that could have dropped Floyd.
That's true.
So and that's why I look at it. I compare them apples to oranges.
The only time we ever saw that turn on its head that I can remember at any type of notable level was when Ray Mercer knocked out Tim Sylvia in an MMA fight. Like they were both
I
right?
Remember that.
Like that. He's like, I think didn't like Tim like lead with the kick, like a sloppy kick, and then he just got overhanded. Like, but otherwise, like other than that potential, and Floyd Mayweather's not Ray Mercer in terms of punching power, obviously, but But yeah, so I know that's a good point. You're you're like let's save Floyd's a face, I guess.
Well, yeah, again, I mean, because we all know what would happen, and we not even if it was Floyd, if it were any boxer, any boxer that goes into MMA, we know what's going to happen. Yeah. That's just like me. I'm not even a grappler, but you think if I'm fighting Floyd Mayweather, I'm not going to shoot a double leg on Floyd?
Right.
Like, no, like I'm going to shoot a double on Floyd. Now, do I have the best double? No, but can Floyd stop my double? No.
Well, let's transition to you a little bit more. You've been campaigning for this fight against CM Punk. Everybody keeps wondering when CM Punk's his second fight's going to be. It's been over a year, I think now. No, well, yes, it's 203 in Cleveland. Yeah. And every time it seems like Duke Rufus posts a tweet of the roster, at Rufus Sport, everybody's adding you. And then there was the great NWO video at Champions. Well, what's the latest updates with this fight? Are you still trying to get him to fight you?
Yeah, for me, it's look. I know I don't belong in the UFC. We all I said this before, and I'll say it again. And I get a lot of people who say, "Oh, you don't belong in the UFC." Like I know that. Like I've said this before, but people get caught up in who belongs in the UFC as opposed to this being a business. And the point of a business is to generate revenue. And when you bring someone in like CM Punk, that's what he's gonna do. Period. And I tell people like they get caught up in the whole Punk thing. I'm like, look, MMA fans are gonna forget about this in like 6 months. Like following the fight, we fight. I'm gonna knock this guy out. People are gonna talk about it for like a week or two, and it's gonna fizzle out with everything else. Think about the landscape of MMA and how things quickly change. You think people are gonna be talking? The only reason people are talking about CM Punk now is because of me and Duke Rufus. That's it. No one was talking about him before Duke made the post or I made the post. No one was talking about Punk.
Well, that's the other thing that I think people don't realize too is that you talk about the business side of things is that the UFC has him under contract, and if they release him, he said he's going to fight again. So you can't let it go to Bellator because people are going to tune in. So you have to have him. You have to keep him around, and to keep him around, you have to have him fight somebody.
Exactly. And again, people get and I think this is just society in general that people get offended. Like when people said Mike Jackson can potentially fight CM Punk, people were upset about it, and I'm just like, why? If you don't want to watch it, simply don't watch. Like, it's as easy as that. Like, people literally get, and I know how I get and I rarely get angry or I rarely get riled up over things because, again, if it doesn't affect me, what's the point? But I know if I'm really heated about something, like I feel myself warming up and I feel start to perspire and, all that stuff. And I'm just like, but these are things that directly affect, direct me personally or affect me personally. And that's my reason for getting upset. Like, me fighting CM Punk should not get anyone upset, period. Unless, maybe I'll get upset if I lose or, Punk will get upset if he loses. But that's it. If you don't want to watch the fight, simply don't watch.
I want to jump in.
Go to the bathroom.
I wanted to jump in there. So Mike Jackson's being very, very, first of all, that's good philosophy. And I like that. Like, let's not get riled up unless it's something that really matters. I think that's good. I'm one of these people that sometimes gets riled up about, purity of MMA and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Now, even if
it's the give and take of our show.
Yeah, no, it is. That's right. But even, and that's just me as like a guy that watches since I was a kid and has trained since 99 and, fights as amateur. But like, okay, so basically you just kind of equated yourself and CM Punk. You said, Mike, I get it. I don't belong in the UFC, and people know, like, okay, Phil Brooks doesn't belong in the UFC either. All right, so I'm going to step in now and say, like, first of all, Mike Jackson and Phil Brooks, CM Punk, are not in the same category in that way, right? So I also don't belong in the UFC, Mike, because I fight as an amateur. I'm not good enough to that, but I'm a fighter. You're a fighter. I just saw you knock out a guy 2 months ago. Like, you fought amateur MMA, you've kickboxed, you boxed, you train with good people. Like, you're a fighter. So you not being quote unquote UFC material is a different thing than CM Punk not being quote unquote UFC material, because you are a fighter and you've been a fighter for years. Whereas he had never competed in athletics, and then said, I'm famous and I want to fight in the UFC. So I just want to throw that out there. Like,
Okay.
you're being charitable, but like, you're a fighter. I don't have a problem with Mike Jackson fighting in the UFC at all. Amateurs, people go from amateur to pro. It happens, and that's what happened with you. But I did like think the sport was going a different direction with Phil Brooks being given his first fight in the UFC. That said, like Dice just said, hey, Phil Brooks is in the UFC. He's got a contract. He's got to fight. He's got to fight someone. So at that point, I'm fully on board with that fight happening. I hope they do give you that fight. I got nothing against Phil Brooks. I met him once. I think it was his first week at Rufus Sport. I went up there and did some training with their team sparring and stuff. He was a very nice guy. He's a Chicagoan. I like him a lot. With that said, what people who don't know, people who maybe have only seen your fight against Mickey Gall, who he was a stud, and that's a guy that was going to be in the UFC at some point, regardless, right? The guy,
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, guy's like a 7-foot welterweight. He's a great grappler. Like he's awesome. Like he was going to be in the UFC anyway. Like what people don't realize is that although every fight is its own and anyone can win any fight at any given time, I think from looking at the tape, I think Phil Brooks doesn't want anything of Mike Jackson. Like that's not a fight that he wants. I don't think it goes. I don't think. No fight is. But there's a lot. There are novices. You can fight in Illinois as a novice. I don't think fighting a guy like Mike Jackson, who has real composure and real comfort on his feet and real skill and real pop in those hands. I mean, I'm sure you're a good grappler as well. I just I don't think he wants any of that. People are acting like Phil Brooks and Mike Jackson are the same. You guys are not the same.
I agree 100%. But here's the thing: when I ran into Duke Rufus when UFC was out here in Dallas, it was funny actually how it came about. I was hanging out with Patton Rose and Mick Maynard, a good friend of mine who's not a matchmaker. He sends me a text. He was like, "Yo, Mike, I'm sitting next to CM Punk's coach right now." And I book it because wherever the hotel we were staying at was I think it was like maybe the Hilton or somewhere. And it has wings. I'm on the furthest wing away. And so I see people all looking at me like, why is this dude sprinting through the lobby, And I didn't want Duke to leave,
Yeah,
and so I get down there and then Duke is actually, it was like Duke Rufus. It was my coach, Bob Perez, and it was Mick. And they were all kind of just sitting there talking. And I was being patient, waiting them, to finish their conversation. And, I introduced myself and I asked him if he knew who I was. He said he did. And I just looked at him. I was like, yo, I want to smack your man in the face. Because, and it kind of goes back to what you were just saying is that, this guy has no real experience. And, my thing with him or my quarrel is this dude had the audacity to call me a can. And that's really how all of this came about. If he just never would have said my name or called me a can, I probably would have just whatever. I would have went away and kept doing what I was doing. But I have a problem with, and again, maybe he was trying to sell a fight, sure. But I have a problem when you have someone who's never competed in a sport and they call someone a can or a bum or trash or whatever. It's like you've never competed. Right. So how can you call someone, this direct? I mean, that's just like me. Like, I've never played professional basketball. Now, basketball is my favorite sport, but I've never played in the NBA. I can't call anyone in the NBA trash. Now, maybe they're the worst person in the league, but they're still the NBA.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was my issue with Punk. And
how did Duke Rufus react when you said that? What was his?
He just laughed. Like he laughed. He laughed. He was just like, "Yo, this is and he understood where I was coming from.
Of course, he's a fighter.
And he said it makes sense. Going back to all these people calling him out, like we had Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, call him out.
He would mess him up too. He's a real fighter.
Well, right, and so I'm actually friends with JDF.
Oh, okay.
And there's no way he makes 170 pounds.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Like, the dude is huge. Like, even he's not like, when I first met him, when he was fighting, he made his amateur debut at 205 pounds.
Wow.
And the dude looked like a super shredder Jason David Frank is what he looked like. But again, he's smaller now, but I don't even think he makes 70. The other guy who was calling him out was Jason Ellis. And I ran into Jason. Actually, Jason Ellis's manager called a good friend of mine who Rich Birdmaster, who I do my podcast with, and we work with LFA. But his manager called Rich and was like, "Hey, we would like to get Jason to fight with Mike Jackson." And I was like, "I'll fight. Like, if it was kickboxing, I'll fight him at any weight, But he said something about MMA, and I was like, "Dude, I can't make 185."
Yeah, right.
Like I walk around when I'm not training and I'm eating, when I'm on my Truth Food tour, eating burgers and stuff, I'm walking around at about 190, 195 if I wake up. And then I'll go work out and lose 10 pounds, So these, Jason Ellis, talking about fighting Punk, like, you can't make 170.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm not a 170er, nor is Phil Brooks a 170er. He's just, look, neither one of us want to cut weight. Is really what it is. And he's too old to cut the weight.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So again, Jason Ellis and Jason David Frank, neither of these guys, and these are names.
Yeah.
And it would make sense. If they could make 170, these guys make perfect sense to fight Phil. But they can't make 170 pounds, and I can.
See, more reasons why this fight is the perfect match.
Yeah, are you getting any signals that any positive feedback at all? Like after Duke smiled, was like, yeah, I
friends
get
with
it. Were they open to it, or did you sense like, nah, we're not really open to it?
No, well, I think if he wants to fight again, if he truly wants to fight again, I feel they have to be open to it, because again, who are they going to find? They can't put anyone that's already in the UFC currently. They would have to find another guy and bring him in and sign him, and then it would be a similar situation. It's like, we signed this random guy to fight Phil Brooks, and then what? Like, we can't just have, who else are we going to put him in there with? So they would sign him and cut him. So
and
that's
why start to scratch with some other random guy? Why not just go with the Mike Jackson that you already have?
You have the promo material already. You have the photos. I've already fought in the UFC. We fought Mickey Gall. The storyline is there. As opposed to finding another, and again, not to say that these random people wouldn't qualify for this, but again, you would have a random person who you would have to sort of market it and promote against CM Punk. Myself, I'm already there. The material is there. The promos, the videos I've done myself are there. So let's make it happen.
Now, talking about promo and stuff, you did this cool NWO tribute promo calling CM Punk out. It was incredible. Like, I really enjoyed watching it. How did that all come together? Was that like your idea? Was it their idea? Are you a big wrestling fan? Like, where did this come from?
Well, growing up, I was a big wrestling fan. I came up in the best era for wrestling, in the Attitude Era of the WWE or WWF. I didn't really watch when they changed the name too much.
Good for you.
But no, so Champion CO, they reached out to me. And they were like, "Yo," well, actually, how it started was they reached out to me to do a video with Derek Lewis. And y'all saw the Derek Lewis Ronda or the house video.
That was also funny.
I set that up, and then they hit me up. They was like, "Hey, we would love to do something with you too." And they ran some ideas by me, and when they came up with the NWO, and I was like, "Yo, let's do that." And it worked out, and it blew up way more than I even expected.
It was so perfect. Like, it captured the whole NWO vibe like perfectly, and it was like the perfect, I think, fighter calling fighter out situation for it as well. Like, everything about it was just great.
Yeah, and it was fun. So that's my thing. And a lot of times you get fighters who they don't have real personalities, and for me, it's just one of my gifts. I can be in front of the camera, behind the camera. I just like to entertain people. And it was a great platform, and I use it. And it's kind of one of those things I put in the back burner just in case I need to re-release. I have another one where I was at a sneaker summit. So out here we're real big in the sneaker culture. Well, I shouldn't say we. I'm not big into it, but I like to people watch. Anyway, I was covering a sneaker summit one day, and this guy had a Money in the Bank briefcase, and the event, it was probably maybe like 30 minutes before it closed. And I was like, "Hey, real quick, I just need to get a picture with this briefcase." And he had this look on his face like, okay. And he let me use it, and I shot it, and I was saving it, and I used it once already, but It was several months ago. I think I'm gonna have to redrop it here pretty soon since things are getting things are starting to spice up a little bit.
Would you ever like go and they sell? I go to WrestleMania every year. They sell those Money in the Bank cases. Like would you ever buy one and just like put like a contract or like fight Mike Jackson and just like send it up to Rufus Sport?
Y'all must be in my head. I swear I wasn't gonna do that, which actually is a good idea. I did have something in mind. I was gonna send him a Christmas present. I don't want to say what it is, but I already I do have. Actually, see, I got sidetracked. I was supposed to be shopping, and then y'all called me.
You get as far as Chicago, where we are right now. We'll drive with you over to Milwaukee, and we can hand deliver it with you. That would be fun. It's a short drive.
How far is it for you all?
Man, like
hour and 15.
Yeah, an hour 15.
That's
It's a piece of cake. Yeah, you jump on. It's. I think Phil Brooks was commuting a lot, like every day, back and forth. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, man. We'll have you in the studio. And we'll go drive you out there.
I may have to do that. I'm looking at the 2018 Truth Entertainment budget, and I think we can put that in there and make a trip out to Chicago.
Come cover Glory 50. I think said Chicago. Market it as a business expense.
When is anything going on? I think because with January I'm kind of busy.
They got it's not UFC, so I don't know how. But Bellator is going to be here. The heavyweight Grand Prix is going to be here in was that March?
Yeah, that's the Fedor Frank Mir fight.
I don't. Now, although I would like to be there for that, I don't think Bellator already kicked me out of one event.
I didn't know that. Is this well known? I didn't know that.
I didn't know this.
Tell us,
please. Let me tell you the story. This is a funny story. So, Bellator, they were in Houston. Oh man, I can't remember what.
I know about the Shamrock Gracie card.
Yes. So that card, they were in. When was that? Last year, right?
Maybe February 2016.
Okay. So they come out, and I just happen to have and I don't know if I'm putting them on blast, but whatever. So the way Bellator works is they go into a new market, and obviously they get a pro license to do their pro fighters, right? Well, they also do in Texas we can do pro-ams now, so they don't have to not waste the money and buy an amateur license. They piggyback off a local promotion. Yeah. It just so happens they piggyback off of the Legacy promotions, our amateur license. And again, I work with Legacy. So anyway, I go to weigh-ins. I'm talking to the guys, and Mick Maynard, he tells me, he lets me know months in advance of what's going to happen. So I hit him up. I'm like, hey, put me down for media credentials. I want to come out. Cool. So fast forward to the day of the fight, I have my media credentials, and then I have like 8 teammates on the card because, especially with the amateurs, I had, Pineda was the only pro, and then, there were 2 pros, and then there were several amateurs. So I was actually a cornerman for the amateurs, right?
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I'm going back, and I'm backstage, and I'm moving around and doing things, and then I'm going and hang out with Pitt. Well, for me, the only reason I really wanted to go to the show outside of my teammates fighting, my cousin, I'm cousin with Emmanuel Newton.
Oh,
and
okay.
he was fighting on that card too. So outside of people I know personally fighting, who wouldn't want to see Hoist Gracie fight? Now, we knew, it was Hoist Gracie and Ken Shamrock probably 50 years past their prime, but
you can't sleep on the Kimbo Dada 5000 fight either.
And then of course Kimbo, which is funny because like the whole build, like in Houston that week, it was hilarious to see 2 grown men like have that much animosity toward one another. It's to me it's silly, but it was fun though, right? So anyway, those are my reasons for wanting to go to the event.
Yeah.
And so they tell me that because I was gonna shoot the show, they put me in the auxiliary, kind of like way up, right? And again, I had no problem with that either because I had my long lens. But earlier in the fight, again, I had teammates and I was cornering and warming up and stuff.
Of course.
Well, because we were so many undercard fighters, they put us in like the visitors locker room of the Toyota Center. So we have this huge locker room, and it's probably let's say it's 8 fighters plus 2 to 3 cornermen plus the athletic commission, which they had probably about 3 or 4 guys in the back. So think about the number of people that are in the back, right? You just do the math real quick. That's a lot of people in the back, right? So halfway through, let's say 4 fights come. The first 4 fights happen, and then this random Bellator employee comes in the back. Now at this point, this guy could have made up any lie he wanted to, and we would have believed him. He could have, hey guys, because what happened? He comes in the back and he's like, hey guys, we need to move y'all into another dressing room. And again, at this point, if someone said, why are you moving us? He could have lied and made up any kind of story. Well, the dude told the truth. He was like, well, Ken Shamrock doesn't like the size of his dressing room or something, and we're going to switch him. And so put a pin in that real quick. I had been hanging out in Daniel Pineda's dressing room, and it was like Pineda, and it was like 3 others. So it was like 4 of the main card fighters. And we were in like this little room. No one said anything. Ken Shamrock had his own dressing room. And he was like, it's too small. So we figure, so when the dude go back to the locker room, so the dude comes in, and so he says his speech. So we're like, oh, well, we still have like, let's say it's 15 people, right? Hypothetically, there's 15 people in the room. So we figured there's 15 people in here. They're going to give us a locker room equivalent to hold 15 people. These dudes put us in a broom closet.
Oh, gosh.
They put us in some back like broom. So all I did, I went on my Snapchat and I was like, oh man, we got Big League by Ken Shamrock. They didn't see that. You know, they actually didn't see the video. What happened was I tweeted out, I was like, yo, we just got Big League by Ken Shamrock. But I never tagged Bellator. But how they found out, my man's Jeremy Botter retweeted it. And so obviously they follow him, they picked it up. And by the time that little fiasco happened, I stayed in the back because I had another 4 guys that were warming up. Then they come back and like, oh, we're gonna move y'all to a swing bout, right? Which takes place at the end of the event. So when I find out they're gonna do a swing bout, I was like, well, there's no point in me being back here right now. We got a whole main card to go through, so I'll just come back later. So I go back out, and I was going to talk. I can't remember if I was going to get my bag or talk. No, I was going to get my bag. That's exactly what it was. So I go get my bag, and I see the guy, the media guy for Bellator, and he's looking at me. I mean, I'm probably 25 yards away from him, and I see him because he's sitting on the edge, right? And he just has this scowl on his face, this ugly look. So I walk up to him, and I'm smiling, and I don't remember the dude's name. I was like, hey, man, what's up? And he was just like, Mike Jackson, why did you do that? And I was like, do what? And he was like, you know what you did. You sent that tweet out. And I was like, and at this time, I don't even know what tweet he's talking about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what are you talking about? And he says the Ken Shamrock tweet. I was like, oh, because it happened? I didn't know that I couldn't tweet from the back. Like if you have this rule that corners or whoever can't tweet from the back, then y'all should let people. Now, do I think it's a good rule? No. But whatever. If that's a rule, that's a rule. No one said no one tweet from the back. So anyway, and then as I'm talking to this guy, my phone's going off, and it's another Bellator because they sent out a search party for me.
Oh gosh!
And so as I'm talking to the one Bellator guy, another Bellator guy's calling me. Hey man, you need to meet us back here. And I met him, and they took my pass and kicked me out. Oh my god! And I was and it was funny. I tell you, it was actually cool that I got kicked out because on the way out, I ran into a drunk Mike Tyson.
No.
And I got a picture of drunk Mike. I said, hey, Mike, can I get a picture real quick? And he posed I didn't know he was drunk, though, until after they kicked me out. And it just so happens that my car, I park at my gym, which is I can walk from my gym to the Toyota Center. And so I'm sitting in my car, and I had a little my hot spot, so I'm writing this little article to tell what happened.
Huh.
And just so happens, my Twitter's blowing up. I was like, "Yo, Mike Tyson's drunk on TV."
Oh no!
Did y'all not see the clip?
I did not.
No, because I was there.
Oh,
I did not.
It was it was during I want to say it was the Melvin Gillard fight, and right before Melvin Gillard gets knocked out, he gets hit with a shot, and Mike Tyson jumps on the mic, and this is how you knew he was drunk. He was like, "Oh, he's spinning around," and he's like, "Which way did he go? Which way did he go?"
Oh, no.
And we was all like, "Mike, what are you talking about?"
Oh no, that's.
But it was hilarious though. Yeah,
okay,
it was funny.
That is crazy. So I never knew that. So we'll see you here for Bellator then.
No, but if I find out when that Glory in Chicago is, I might have to come out to that.
That'll be
February
really
16th.
February 16th. Okay.
Yeah, it's
That I mean, if you do, please let Dice know. I mean, we'll take care of you out here, man. You come to the gym. I got a gym too. We'll have a good time. We'll have you on the show. It'll be fun.
Speaking of,
actually,
go
my
ahead.
February. I'm looking at my February calendar right. Actually, I do have an event. I have LFA on the 16th.
Oh, okay.
In
Word.
Dallas, but I'm pretty open in February. I may just fly out just to come kick it with you guys.
That'll be fun.
I moved from Texas to Chicago 3 years ago, and I'm really bummed that I'm missing all the LFA cards. Like every time an event goes on, I was like, man, if I was still there, I'd be at all these cards.
That's true,
dude. They're so fun, man. Like the LFA, we have a great family. They put on quality shows, and that's what I don't think people realize is that outside of the UFC, you can still find solid MMA.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at an organization like that, which is about, it's about as good as it gets, outside of the UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're sending a lot of guys. Like in this past year alone, I mean, we've sent. I can think off the top of my head 8 guys that we've sent. You know, and then last year we have Valentina Shevchenko, Derek Lewis. We have all these names that we've sent up. So it's a great promotion, and we have a greit product.
Yeah. Sage Northcutt, another legacy guy.
Sage Northcutt, that's my man right there. I love Super Sage. It was funny when I was at his first MMA fight, and I had no idea who this guy was, and at the time, do y'all remember Sam Hoger?
Yep, of course.
Okay, that I don't know if y'all
Alaskan Assassin.
He's a terrible human being.
I don't know him personally. I don't know him personally. I just met him a couple times.
He's one of those guys. Like he'll.
He's been up. So like, give the background for folks. But he coached Sage at some point. But he's really been taking a lot of credit for everything Sage Northcutt has ever done.
Oh my God, he's such a douchebag. So after it was, and again, I'm gonna take Sage out of this for the moment because that's my man. So at his first fight, I'm at weigh-ins, and then Sam walks up, and he's like, "Mike Jackson, man, I got a guy for you. He's the next big thing," and blah blah blah. And he introduced me to Sage, and I met his sister Kobe at the time too. And so I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll be on the lookout." So at the time, I was doing these video blogs for fight, and that's kind of how my media personality kind of blew up. But so I was doing my video blog, and so I had one of my cameramen who were with me. I said, look, I want you to point this camera at Sam Hoger the entire fight. I just want to catch his reaction of whatever. I didn't know what was going to happen, So it just so happened that Sage got knocked out by this dude who I don't even think the guy has fought since then. I mean, I wouldn't. Like, that was it, So anyway, dude knocked Sage out. And Sam Hoger had this look on his, like it was the most aliens are attacking us look on his face that you've ever seen. I'll have to find that video and show. Actually, I'm gonna find that video and send it to you guys so you can laugh.
Was he just freaked out, or was he not like? Did he not seem sympathetic? Because sometimes coaches they detach themselves.
He was just sitting there. His hand was on his knee, and he was just in disbelief of what just took place.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was like he was just looking like, oh, man, what just happened?
Gotcha.
But anyway, and it was one of those things where Sam he wasn't dedicated as a coach. And the funny thing about it is I've trained with Sam a few times, and he's actually shown me some great grappling techniques that are very that I personally could utilize in a fight. But he was just one of those guys that he wasn't dedicated to training. He was just about the spotlight. I mean, the guy, he was like a pro poker player. He was like sold real estate. He was a magician. He was a comedian. He was just all over the place. He never. It was like once he got out of fighting, he just got out of fighting, you know. And to bring it back, once Sage left Sam and started training with the Gracie Baja guys, you would see Sage or you would see Sam like in the Sherdog forums typing, and he was like, "Man, that was my guy," and I taught him. So how I found out about it was he tagged me in a post one day on Sherdog to come like verify that he was and I was just like, Sam, I'm the wrong person to vouch for you. And I went out there and I whatever I posted, and he blocked me after that. He was like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Man.
But funny story about Sam, real quick, sidebar. He still like he sends people like not happy birthday, happy Thanksgiving or Merry Christmas. Like he sends out like these mass text messages to people. I think he finally removed me from his list, but he ends it with UFC vet.
Yeah, no,
he signs his own things.
He signs his text messages.
I might too if I've been
UFC.
It's like what my 7-year-old dad does.
Right, and I'm just like, Sam, you haven't fought in the UFC since whenever. I don't know when the last time you fought in the UFC. Like, do you really have to sign your text messages UFC vet every time? Like, we're about to be in 2018, and you're still talking about UFC vet.
It's like when people make fun of Buzz Aldrin for like always bringing up that he walked on the moon.
I fucking would. If I walked on the moon, I fucking would. That's for sure.
That's a little different. I mean, you walking on the moon compared to like stealing someone's hoodie in the Tough House. Like, it's not the same thing.
Oh man, that hasn't been referenced in a long time. I remember the first time, one of my first interviews I ever did. I think it was like the second or third interview I ever did for. Like professionally for to write a story. It was back in 2005. It was with Stephan Bonner. He used to train here out of Chicago when he started his career, or Indiana and Chicago, and with Carlson Gracie Sr. And I had actually missed that episode of the first season. I had interviewed him right after the first season of Ultimate Fighter, and he was about to fight Sam, I think, and that's all he was talking about in the interview. Like we were talking about Tough, he was just like teasing Sam about the beanie. I honestly hadn't heard that reference since probably then. That's hilarious. Sam stealing stuff.
I mean, he's just, like I said, he's not like a War Machine terrible person.
Yeah. No, I understand. He's not your type of guy.
He's just so, and it's like he has to be the center of attention. One day, my girlfriend at the time, we went out to like a birthday dinner, and it just so happened that Sam was a mutual friend. I remember walking into this restaurant, and I saw Sam Hogan, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a terrible night. And I purposely sat and it was one of those, I mean, it's probably like 20, 30 people there. And I purposely sat on the far end of the table so I couldn't hear Sam Hogan like talk about how great he is and his business deals and acting. And I'm like, Sam, you're a terrible actor, dude. Shut up.
Oh, no.
He's like, have you guys ever heard of Steven Seagal? That was my guy.
That was my guy.
Yeah.
Man.
It was funny. He was in, I can't remember. It was like a Alien or Predator. It was some sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
or maybe it was Expendables or something. And he goes in there, he gets killed in like, he's only on screen for like 3 seconds. And he was gloating about it. I was like, dude, like, all your previous accolades, and you're talking about this 3-second like blip on a movie screen.
Acting's crazy that way, from what I've seen. I think friends on Facebook, I see, and so he would post like stuff about acting gigs, but acting seems crazy that way. It seems like it's so hard to like get anything that if you get the role of anything on a major film, that's like a huge deal. I agree. If I had Sam's accomplishments, if I was in the Expendables and I fought Lyoto Machida, I'd be more proud of fighting Lyoto Machida than that. I agree.
Exactly. That's all I'm trying to say is like, you don't have to be a douchebag, my guy. Like, just be and I think that's just me. I uplift myself quite a bit. I'm in the stars, and just being an older, I've matured, and I just look at life a little bit differently now. Yeah. I'm just like, you just don't have to go around being a douchebag, my guy. Like, just be nice to people. It's like he goes out of his way to antagonize people.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's like sooner or later your friends will bring the stuff up for you. Like you don't have to bring the stuff up yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's all I'm saying is like, look, I don't think you have LeBron James like walking into a dinner meeting with people he doesn't know, like, yo, I'm LeBron James, I'm the best in the world. Like, no, like you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
People are just gonna know who you are, or if they look. People, there are a lot of people who don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just walk into a building. Man, I'm Mike Jackson. I do
UFC
X, Y,
vet.
That's right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't have to do. Like, it's no need to do that.
You should start signing tweets and stuff like that.
Well, is it? I stopped watching pro wrestling before Phil Brooks got like popular, but I went back and saw some stuff, and he seemed like he was a really talented dude. But isn't his whole thing was like best in the world or best in the planet or something too? So that we've come full circle. Full circle.
You know,
we call him out too for that cockiness, and for calling and in the real world for insulting you for sure, which is a legitimate grievance. 100%. That's 100%.
When I started, or right at the end of me watching pro wrestling, I want to say he was still in ECW, or maybe he had just transitioned over. And the only thing the only reason that I recognized him as a character is because he had he wore the hand wraps with the big X's on them.
Yeah, right.
And that's what stood out to me, and that's why I remember him. But at the time and I remember he cut like that crazy, like some shoot promo. Right. I was already kind of phased out of pro wrestling at that time, but I do remember I went back and watched it. And I thought it was a dope promo. Yeah. I was like, "Yo, this is pretty cool." Yeah. But I wasn't the same kind of fan at the time, so I kind of missed that CM Punk train.
So you won't be in awe of him if you meet him in the ring.
So it was funny. Like, so following the Gall fight, he was in the back and he like walks up. And I'm never a starstruck guy. Yeah. Just, for me, the background, I've come from a well-off background, privileged background. My father's a doctor. So I grew up around celebrities. I went to school with Warren Moon's kids. Oh, wow. I lived around the corner from, Houston Rockets players. So for me to be starstruck, like, that was never a thing. But anyway, I saw him in the back, and like he had his suit on. He had his lady. What's his lady's name? She's fine as hell too.
Oh, AJ Brooks.
Yeah, or
AJ Lee,
like that.
Or maybe AJ Brooks is a real name, something like.
She's fine.
Or her married name, obviously. That's what it is. Her married name.
Is AJ? Okay, well she's gorgeous, by the way. Anyway, he like walks up and he kind of like gives me like this sympathetic like handshake and then like good job, good effort kind of deal. And like and I'm just like, why are you talking to me right now? Like, and again, it wasn't like to be like an asshole. I'm just we no longer have any ties to one another now. It's like you have to. Are you coming over here to like rub this in my face that I lost or what? And again, it didn't come off as genuine because as I watched him like awkwardly stand there, because at the time I was getting checked out by the doctor and getting my check. He was just kind of like awkwardly standing there, and I don't know if he was waiting for something else or what. But he comes over and talks. I'm just like, in my head, I'm thinking like, I just saw you awkwardly, like you didn't know if you should come talk to me or not. Like, you could have just looked, gave me a head nod, and kept on moving, my guy.
He's probably figuring things out, Like, that's sort of the impression I get. Again, I'm sure he's a nice guy or whatever. But yeah, it's like, it's a weird thing. It's like trying to figure out, like, is this a game? Is this not a game? Am I in it? Am I not in it? Is it matter that I'm famous? Is it not matter that I'm famous? Right. Am I one of the guys? Am I not one of the guys? What do fighters do? Do we talk to each other if we talk crap? Do we not talk to each other if we talk crap?
Okay.
Like, I don't know because I'm new. I mean, it's not an excuse for it. I'm saying, like, it probably makes sense and I'm listening to you say it is like he's not a fighter, but he is he? So he's trying to figure out what do I do? Like what is this? He's not because you know what I mean. Like you probably have a comfort level around other fighters and stuff, or being in the back as a coach, as a fighter, as a competitor. That you only get from being a fighter or a coach. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's weird to talk. It's weird to talk hard and to talk tough then if you don't have that comfort level.
No, I never looked at it from that perspective, and that makes sense. For me, I do respect him simply for jumping into the sport, whether it would have been at the amateur level or even at the UFC level. I respect any man or woman who enters a cage, Again, my quarrel with him is simply he called me a can.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm just like, no. Like, I respect you as a man because look, not everyone is cut out to be a fighter.
Sure.
Not everyone is cut out to take a punch in the face willingly, you know. And for Phil to willingly participate in this sport, I have all the respect for him.
Sure.
But it ends there.
Yeah.
It simply ends there. And after I knock him out, I'll shake his hand. Again, once the fight is over, it's over. You know, I have no more beef with you unless you go running your mouth again, which I don't think that would be smart. You know, because then I was like, because I have Duke's number, and I would call Duke and was like, yo, I'm coming to Chicago, or wherever he is, I'm coming to your gym, and I'm gonna come smack your man again. You know, I wouldn't know what else to tell Duke.
Well, we got to see that fight. I think it makes sense. I think the story, like Dice was saying, is there. Like, at the end of the day, this is a guy that, you know, fair is fair. You would have been matched up with him already, and it's a guy that called you out, and you're saying no, that's not right. Let's fight. He's saying he still wants to fight. You say you still want to fight. Hey, I don't see any reason. I see you out there fighting. It's not that you're talking about it. You're still fighting. So yeah. We got to see that fight happen. I'd love to see it. I think it's fair, but I also think if he has people around him that care about him, I'm sure they're going to try to pump the brakes a little bit. But I hope the fight happens. happens.
And that's the thing. It's like it was funny at first when because when they said he was coming back, because he was supposed to fight in like March, I think. He was supposed, like, they were talking about him fighting a long time ago, and he kind of like put it on hold. And then I went and posted the photo that I posted, one of my favorite photos, and when I knocked the dude out, and you see him like sleep on the canvas, and I want to say I posted that, and then all the CM Punk talk just halted. And I was like, maybe someone showed him this picture, and he was like, you know what? Maybe I'm a second guess this fighting thing.
I'm rethinking it.
Yeah. But no, like I said, I don't feel at the UFC level, I don't feel I have the same popularity or notoriety. I don't think people know me as well. And I mean, yeah, you can look me up and you can find some things out. But again, I feel the first things that are going to pop up with me are going to be the Mickey Gall fight.
Sure.
And if you critique my skills off of the Mickey Gall fight, it only makes sense. It's when you start doing your research and realize that I'm not again, I made my professional MMA debut in the UFC. Although I'm 0-1 in the UFC, I'm undefeated in boxing with all knockouts. And Muay Thai and kickboxing, I'm 1-1 with the knockout. So it's just like my credentials outside of the UFC speak for themselves. And it's just unfortunate that the UFC fans in general, they don't know who I am. And it's always funny to me when people start talking without actually doing any kind of research. Like, they just like, this dude sucks. I was like, but you don't really know me. Like, you don't know anything about. And if you just look me up, you can see everything else. But people are so lazy these days that, they don't care. But again, that's better for me. Because the less they know about me, if they only see me as the guy who got beat by Mickey Gall, then, hey, maybe this is a guy CM Punk needs to fight. He does have an opportunity, you know?
Right.
But I feel that they know more. But again, it goes down to who are you going to put in with this guy? There has to be, again, it's a fight. There's going to be there's some level of danger, it's just what level is he willing to accept, as well as what level the UFC wants to put against him.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us today, and at such great length. Let the people know where they can follow you and plug your podcast and everything you got going on.
First of all, I want to thank you all for having me on. Real quick shout out. I want to give to the Basement Retweet Machine. I love each and every one of you guys. But no, you can follow me on all my social media at The Truth Jackson, the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat.
That's awesome.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
All right, guys. Yeah, have a good one.
You
Later.
too.